We went with a small group, and you will see a picture of the Howard McGee Band at the club, the Marseille or something. The name of Ambassadeurs was the name of the club. I'll never forget it. And we went on tour. We went to Paris in 1948 in May, and it took us 17 hours to get to Paris on what is it called? Concorde, I think, the plane.
Really?
It was it Concorde? Anyway, it was a jet prop. It was before jets now.
Oh.
Jet propelled, but not just a jet engine. It had a propeller.
Propeller, yes.
I know because I had never been on a plane.
How many stops did you make?
We stopped in Gander, Newfoundland,
yes,
and Shannon, Ireland to refuel. But why I said about the prop is because you could see fire coming from the engine.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so, I mean, Percy, he's hip. He just came out of the Air Force. And he knows what's going on with an airplane. He's been flying P-40s. And,
Percy was with you? With
Howard McGee. Yeah,
yes.
he had learned to play the bass in no time. And we were together with Howard McGee. So I'm looking out the window of the plane, and I say, Percy, this thing's on fire. He said, no, James, no, be cool, man. That's the way it is. That's the engine. Because I was really frightened. I mean, the first time, and I was about 20, 21, I think. 21. And we finally landed in Orly field in Paris. And I don't think it was, it was Orly.
Yes.
It's Charles de Gaulle or something now, maybe.
Yes.
But anyway, when we landed, there was a huge reception. There were beautiful French girls and guys, of course, and the promoter, and people from the Hot Club of France who welcomed us like I had never seen.
Human beings?
Oh, even better.
Yes.
Artists.
Artists.
Even better. On a pedestal, like you were very special, VIP. So even before we left the airport, we were invited to go jitterbug with Specs Wright, who was on the drums, and myself were invited by these two cousins, our sisters, Cecile Trevon and I don't know his girlfriend's name, who went to dance. Anyway, these French girls took us jitterbugging because that was the dance at that time.
Of course.
And we were on the tour. The headliner of the tour was LeGrand Coleman Hawkins.
Oh.
The next person was a blues singer by the name of Chippy Hill, who was the meanest lady in the world. The tour in Paris had Chippy Hill, as I mentioned, a blues singer who was not so nice to the fans as they would be. But then they had the Slam Stewart Trio, which consisted of Slam Stewart on bass, John Collins on guitar, and Errol Garner on piano. And then I was in what they call the Sextet, Howard McGee and his Sextet de Bebop. So that was Specs Wright on the drums, as I mentioned, Percy on the bass, my brother, Howard, of course, on trumpet, and Vernon Biddle, a pianist from Chicago, and Jesse Powell, a tenor player from Texas. And I was playing alto, of course. And we played several venues in Paris. As I mentioned, L'Ambassadeurs was an open air kind of cabaret. The thing that was so fascinating about being in Paris and being on the stage And on this tour was Coleman Hawkins, of course, who was one of my idols as a saxophonist.
Did he play alto as well?
No,
or
he's
tenor?
he's the tenor player. I didn't think he ever played alto that I know of. He's the father of the tenor saxophone, one of the leaders in improvised tenor saxophone playing. But the French people were knocked out by the piano player that they had never heard, Errol Garner. Errol Garner was a surprise to them, and he was quite fascinating, as anyone knows who listened to jazz music. I went to a record session that Earl Garner was recording, and I've never been to another one quite like that in all of my years of being in music. Earl Garner, being a natural musician and not a studied, classically studied musician, had natural talent. And he would play a song, and I think it was wire recorder or tape. It wasn't no digital or anything at that time. And he would play a song down, and the only time they would have to stop him was when they had run out of tape or something. Because he'd play a song straight through. And next song, next, straight. And every record date I've been on, we got to stop and start. Wait a minute, stop, wait a minute. Miles, I've been on them with Miles, Dizzy, everybody got to stop. Everybody now and go over. But Earl Garner just played straight through. He was a wonderful natural talent. The other thing was that, of course, being 21 and being on the stage when they opened the curtain in Paris, and never been before that many people in my life.
About how many would be an average audience?
Thousands.
Thousands of people.
I maybe 3,000 or 4,000 people or whatever.
Versus about 40 people in the
Oh
club.
yeah,
Yes.
maybe 100
Yes.
at a dance or the theater. You might get 1,000 and with a big band and a whole show. But this many people in this big place. Theatre Martinet on the Champs-Élysées. And I was so nervous, so I know I wasn't playing anything. That was junk what I was playing, because I was so nervous when they opened that curtain, and I'm in Paris, I'm 21, and from where I came from, South Philly, I said, oh my God. And but you know, it wasn't quite that bad, because there is a recording of one song that someone sent me later, a tape of me playing with Earl Garner playing I Surrender Dear, which is a standard song, myself and Howard McGee on one of the live performances. So it wasn't too bad. Even on that tour, Coleman Hawkins had John Lewis and Kenny Clark, the drummer, who was living in Paris at that time. And subsequently, a lot of musicians moved there. And even before, I think Benny Carter and some people had moved to Europe and lived in Europe earlier than that. I'm talking about 48 now.
Yes.
But since that, even my brother Tootie lived in Copenhagen and Stockholm for 5 or 6 years. The musicians moved to Europe because of the respect they got as artists, not only as human beings, not being stared at or something said to you or remarks, negative or
because
whatever.
of color.
Yeah, because of color. But you were respected as an artist, and that was something we were not getting in a general sense in America. Americans have a way of presenting European classical music as the epitome and the best of everything.
As the classical music.
The music.
Yes.
And respecting that and not respecting Afro-American classical music, which was developed in America. And it should be number one. This is American music. But European music still holds sway. So that's why a lot of the musicians move, because Europeans and Japanese now and other countries appreciate this music at a higher level. They see the artistry of it, and they know it is something American and created here. And they import it, and they imported the people, and they're still doing it.
It is so nice to see children line up to get the autographs from the African American jazz musicians. The children are very aware of this American music that you have just spoken about.
I also think that they are musically better educated in Europe, because they have all of the music. They accept all music. And there are only two kinds of music anyway, as Duke said, and that's good and bad.
Yes.
If it's sad music, it's sad music, and it's not good.
Yes.
And if it's good music, it's music.
Yes.
The titles are for marketing, and that's later, when everything has to be marketed now.
And separated.
Yeah, and separated. Paris is like, I thought I was landing in heaven. And it was beautiful sunshine in May, and the temperature was beautiful. The people treated us royally.
I understand that you did your first recording while you were in Paris. Is that correct? At the first Paris International Jazz Festival?
Yes. That is with Howard McGee.
Oh, that was the one with Howard McGee.
It is. That's
Okay.
where we did it, in Paris.
Okay.
And I think I wrote a song on that Howard named Maggie. We used to call him Maggie, was his nickname.
Yes.
It's called Maggie's Draw, D-R-A-W. That's not what it really was. But back in those days, profanity wasn't in vogue.